Well, joining us now, really one of the most interesting, important guests we've had in a while, William Binney. He's a former whistleblower and crypto mathematician at the NSA. We've talked a lot about the NSA, and Bill Binney, who joins us now, knows it from the inside.
Bill, nice to see you this morning. We really want you to help educate us this morning on all the ins and outs, because it seems to be a lot of doublespeak coming out of Washington over the past few days, and what we heard from James Clapper yesterday. And it seems that recently leaked documents in previous court cases have pointed to these internet companies, Facebook and Google, where all of this information is being mined. But then you heard from Google late last week. Larry Page says, we knew nothing about this program. Apple said, we don't know anything about this. We've never heard of this. Is all of our information that we send through Google, Facebook, being then trapped and used by the NSA?
I would suggest that it is, yes, as well as any number of other companies, telecoms and so on.
So phone calls through Verizon, things like that,
yes.
All of our call logs, all being kept by the NSA.
Right.
Wow. And Bill, you say that you actually left the NSA after emails stopped being encrypted. And so at this point, what you're telling us is that any email can be viewed by anybody who has access, right? I mean, without the encryption, it's all there.
Yes, there's two ways to do it. One is and Mark Klein documented this in the courts, where they put NARIS devices in an NSA room at the San Francisco AT&T facility, where they ran the fiber optic lines inside the United States into the NARIS devices for NSA in this NSA room. Now what that does is it gives them the entire, whatever is sent on that line, that NARIS device can sessionize and send to NSA as a final output. So they are getting a certain percentage of the internet in collection in near real time that way. But to get the whole picture of everything sent, they have to go to the service providers who have the complete picture and say, give me all your data. That way they can fill in the gaps that they have from the lack of complete collection.
So, Bill, just to make this totally clear to our viewers, you are saying that the U.S. government keeps a database of all of our email, all of our internet searches. This is exactly what the president and Mr. Clapper have denied. Apparently, they are lying. Why not track the email of foreign terrorists? Isn't that the whole point? Why is our email being gathered up by the U.S. government?
Well, that's a very good question. I've always said that they never had to do that from the very beginning, but to catch terrorists or anybody else doing bad things in the world. But they really decided to do that. I mean, they went to the dark side, the real dark side, which was spying on America. That's why I left NSA. Because when they started that back in October of 2001, I could not be associated with that.
I'm curious about these companies that we all rely on, right? We have some level of understanding that when we send emails through Google or Gmail or something like that, that we're signing up for that service, right? It's a it's a public company. We're signing up to use that service. But they've come out and denied any government involvement. But you have the head of the Electronic Frontier Foundation, Mr. Auerbach, saying he finds it highly unlikely that Google, Apple, Facebook had no knowledge of this. They had no knowledge of this. Do you buy their argument that they had no knowledge that the government was collecting this information?
No. I mean, it's hard to believe that they wouldn't know it. I mean, after all, the government pays them to produce that data for them.
Huh. So
the argument is that there are so few people at Google or at YouTube or at Apple who would know that that's why we're hearing that they didn't know, but they did know.
But when you have Larry Page, the CEO, coming out and saying,
presumably would know.
That's right. They have to approve it.
And you would think so. You know, we've also heard that this PRISM program is what it's being called, has thwarted at least one terror attack. Is that the case to your knowledge, sir?
Well, I would say very simply that they ought to say what terrorist attack it was and what that program contributed to get it. I mean, they're not. I mean, the fact that we're monitoring communications of all types is not unknown to the terrorists. They know this. So who are we hiding this from? I mean, we're hiding it from any discussion with the American people because of all the material we're collecting on Americans.
Some of the outrage from the Obama administration yesterday, James Clapper, basically pointing the finger at those who leaked this information. Seems like some of the anger coming from that. They want to get to the bottom of it. So the first step that this administration is really taking on this is to try to go after the people that leaked this. First of all, why do you think this information was leaked? And do you think this was the first right step for the Obama administration to make after the scandal erupted?
Well, I think there are a lot of people in the intelligence community who are really upset at all the spying on the U.S. citizens. So I think that that's part of a reaction of people internally working at NSA. So, I mean, what they're going to do now is have the FBI go in and interrogate a lot of people in the intelligence community, those that knew about the program or were associated in one way or another. So what that will do is terrorize the workforce, you know, and then it'll get around the workforce that everybody's being interrogated, and it's just going to be a no-win situation.
So
really.
Very quickly, Bill, if is there any way I, as a U.S. citizen who's not committing any crime or planning on doing so, can communicate without being spied upon? Is there any way to send an email, do Google searches, live my life online without having the U.S. government know what I'm doing?
Yeah, if you walk next door and hand it to your neighbor. You have to physically do it. If you do it electronically, I mean, after all, Tim Clemente, who was an ex-FBI agent, came on CNN a week and a half or 2 weeks ago and said that no digital communications are safe. I mean, that's why they have to build storage facilities like Utah, because they're collecting so much data, they've got to store it somewhere.
That's unbelievable. And who knows what that data will be used for in the future, which is really scary. Bill, thanks a lot.
This is the real fear I had. They could use that to map out the Tea Party and then target them using the IRS. I mean, this is really a danger to our democracy.
We've learned they're willing to do things like that. Thanks a lot for that inside view of the NSA. That was really interesting.
Thanks, Bill.
And chilling.
Thanks.
Bill.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.